Bible does have more to say than that about children. There's a lot of verses mentioning children in the Bible, and I'm going to continue to talk about them. Now, today's society say children are a burden and a curse. That's why you got birth control, and that's why you got all these. That's why you got abortions and birth control, and you got all these people always. Every time if you talk about children, some of those people that's like, oh no, I don't have no children. I want no kids. Why have kids? All the everything is anti-child. Everything is anti-kids. They'll even, man, there's people so stupid today that they'll even tell you that, you know what's causing global warming? People. Don't have kids and we can protect the environment type stuff, which is completely retarded. And by the way, I know you don't see people just having abortions. There's people that'll just have a child and they'll dump it on a trash can somewhere. That's just as wicked. The child just dies so they don't find them. But they don't care, you know. Oh no, a kid. I didn't want a kid. I just wanted to have a good time with my boyfriend. Oh, I know. So let's just take it a little while. Let's just go abort it. Nah, it's costing too much money. It's easier. Just throw it in a trash can somewhere. I'll just try to flush it down a toilet. There's people actually done that, by the way. They'll have a baby. There's a girl at a prom that had a baby at the prom, and she tried to throw it. She threw her baby in a toilet. What a great woman. What a great pile of garbage. You ought to fry her. You ought to put her in an electric chair or something. Crazy people. It's all about them. That's what it is. Again, no natural affection, and they hate their children. Like I said already, the children are not a curse, but they're a blessing, according to the Bible. Now I'm going to start reading about devout and honorable children. This is some verses on it. Judges 11:36. And she said unto him, now this verse here is talking about Jephthah. If you know the Bible, Jephthah's daughter. And he made a vow, which was he should not have done this, but he made a rash oath. He didn't think about it. He just made an oath. Said, Lord, I'm just going to give you the story. He said, Lord, I want to go fight the Ammonites because they were running Israel at the time. They were oppressing Israel at the time and were controlling them, occupying them. And he said, Lord, if you deliver the Ammonites into my hand and defeat them for us, let me go in there and defeat them, then the first thing that comes through my doors is yours, and I'll basically say I'll sacrifice it as a burnt offering to you. That's what he said. This is an oath he made. Now, and according to the law, when you made a vow unto the Lord, it was sacred and could not be broken. And there was some instances where it was not holding if it's like a father or mother could have something to do with it and could maybe take it away in a sense. I don't remember every little thing about it, but in this case it wouldn't have been because his parents weren't around at the time. It was just him. He was the father. He was the man of the house, so that wouldn't apply to him. So when he said what he said about worst thing comes to my door, it's yours, Lord, and I'll sacrifice it to you. He had done said it, so he couldn't pull back. Well, by the time he says it, the first thing comes through his door is his daughter. And it does, Brad. He sinks really low. I'm saying, when you read you know how he felt. He just dropped. He just hit rock bottom when he saw it because he knew what he was about to have to do. He was going to take her and sacrifice her because he said, because he tells her, I've opened my mouth and I can't go back. But here I'm going to show you what she said. Now you talk about a devout and honorable child. Look what she says. And she said unto him, my father, if thou hast opened thy mouth unto the Lord, do to me according to that which hath proceeded out of thy mouth, for as much as the Lord hath taken vengeance for thee of thine enemies, even of the children of Ammon. She just said, whatever you said, I willfully submit to it. She went a couple of months and bewailed her virginity and stayed with her friends in a way, and he said, okay, and then when she come back, he performed it on her. He sacrificed her because he had to. He didn't want to, but he had made the vow, and according to the law, he had to. He didn't want to, but I'm telling you, but her actually being able to willfully submit to that, I'm going to tell you, most people, I don't even know if I've done it. You telling me that, hey, because I opened my mouth and was stupid, I'm the one that's got to die for it? I don't know, but she done it. She was a devout and honorable child. 1 Samuel 2:26, and the child Samuel grew on and was in favor both with the Lord and also with men. By the way, any of y'all know who Samuel is? He was the first prophet. He served the Lord pretty much his entire life. He was given to the Lord when he was born. So and pretty much his entire life, you read about him. He was constantly following the Lord. You don't ever read about him ever turning away from the Lord. And he was the one that helped. He anointed Saul, anointed David. He was the one that judged Israel righteously. And here's Luke 1:80. And the child grew and waxed strong in spirit. It was in the desert till the day of his showing unto Israel. That's John the Baptist, the forerunner of Christ. Luke 2:49. And he said unto them, How is it that ye sought me? Wish ye not that I must be about my Father's business? Now guess who that is? That's Jesus Christ. For 2 Timothy 3:15, and that from a child thou hast known the Holy Scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation through faith which is in Christ Jesus. That's Timothy. What the 1st and 2nd Timothy is written to. It was written to him, Timothy. He was one of the first bishops or preachers of the church he was in. I don't remember exactly which one he was at, but he was he was a bishop there, which that's what they called the preacher at the time. They were bishops. And this is just these are letters. This is a letter. This is just one of the letters that Paul wrote to him. You have just a few men right here, a few children right here that were devout and honorable. You got Jephthah's daughter, Samuel, the first prophet, John the Baptist, Jesus Christ, and Timothy. By the way, think about it. What would happen if they'd been aborted or thrown in the fire? During when they were born, when they were like, oh, I don't. Could you imagine if maybe Jephthah, or let's say maybe Hannah, which was Samuel's mother, who, by the way, if you read her story, which I believe is in here, I believe I put that in here. Read her story. She wanted a child so much that she would grieve because she didn't have one, because she was barren. At one time, women actually thought it was strange that they couldn't have a child. They thought they were very strange and thought they were they almost said, they called it a reproach. They said, I'm a reproach unto men because I can't have a child. It's strange that I can't have a child. Today it's the exact opposite. You're weird if you have kids. If a woman can't have kids now, she's looked at as she's like, yeah, I can't have a stupid kid. I can just have sex and have a great time. Oh yeah. Women don't look at it as good today. They look at it as a curse if they can have a lot of kids. But just think about it. If these people have been aborted, just think about it. Think if Jesus Christ had been killed, or John the Baptist, Samuel, Timothy. Think if they'd all been aborted because their parents decided they didn't want them. That was just a few, and there's more. There's Jephthah, like I said, Jephthah's daughter, Samuel, John the Baptist, Jesus Christ, Timothy. And again, like I just said, what if they'd been aborted or sacrificed? There would be no Savior. There would be no forerunner of Christ to preach repentance, no preacher taught by Paul. There would be no Samuel to follow God and judge Israel and anoint 2 kings, no faithful daughter who willfully submitted to her father. All children are precious, and for them to be murdered or sacrificed is wicked and abominable. It doesn't matter what somebody thinks the child will do or what they do later in life. It doesn't give anybody a right to murder. Murder is wrong no matter the circumstances. It is wrong. That's a cold hard truth. It doesn't matter what the child is going. It might go through somebody else's code, but all kind of reasons why we should do it. Well, the child's going to probably raise in a drug house to start with, and he'll be around a bunch of sorry parents, and he probably won't amount to anything except a criminal, so we might as well kill him. Or the big one, like I said before, was she got raped, so we automatically need to just kill the baby because she does not want that burden of a child. She doesn't want the burden of the child because she didn't want the kid to start with, and some pervert raped her, so we need to kill the baby and punish the baby for it. Why would you do that? Like I said before, there is a such thing as adoption. You may end up growing a lot of that baby. I know that the rapists don't care about it, and the rapist just wanted some pleasure and wanted to use his power to kind of, he just wanted to attack you, but you may end up growing to love that baby. Even though you know that the reason this baby's here is because some pervert raped me, but you won't think about that if you raise a child. Just awful. Children of the Bible who became great heroes of the Bible. I'm going to give you some. Now, I'm about to read the story now of this is how Samuel come about. 1 Samuel 1, 10 through 11. And she wept in bitterness of soul and prayed unto the Lord and wept sore. This is talking about Hannah. Hannah was Samuel's mother. She was barren. She had no. She could not have children. Her womb was shut up. And her husband had two wives, her and Peninnah, which had children. And Peninnah was a real witch that provoked her. And probably, in a way, I don't know exactly what it means in the sense of what she did, but I could guess she probably just since she provoked her, so she was kind of probably always on her like, yeah, I got kids, you don't, you're such a reproach and everybody, just stuff like that. And it provoked her and really hurt her. And she wanted a child. And here's what she said, verse 11, and she vowed a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but wilt give unto thine handmaid a man-child, then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head. She vowed a vow and said, if you'll give me a child, can you imagine that? She wants a child so much, and yet she said, if you give me a man-child, she said a man-child, she wanted a boy. She didn't want a girl, she wanted a boy. And she said, if you'll give me a boy, a son, then she said, I'll give him to the Lord. She was basically saying, if you've given me, I'll give him right back to you. And she was serious too. God gave her one, and she did. But you later on read the story, God gave her about 4 or 5 other children later. So she didn't just have that one child. God blessed her with more. So, and you know, and if you read the story of Samuel, he was one of the great heroes of the Bible. 1 Samuel 1:20, wherefore it came to pass when the time was come after Hannah had conceived that she bare a son and called his name Samuel, saying, because I have asked him of the Lord. That's what his name means, asks for. 1 Samuel 1:22, but Hannah went not up, for she said unto her husband, I will not go up till the child be weaned, and then I will bring him, that he may appear before the Lord and there abide forever. 1 Samuel 1:28, therefore also I have lent him to the Lord, as long as he liveth, he shall be lent to the Lord. And he worshiped the Lord there. And if again, like I said, if you read the story of Samuel, he was one of the greatest last judge of Israel and the first prophet. He judged Israel righteously. Later on, when Israel asked for a king, he really basically talks to them and he pleads with Israel, telling them first that you do not need a king. It's wicked that you even ask for one. God's your king. God's your leader. And he first said, this is the king, it's going to be your king. And then he talked about and said, now I want y'all to try me. Now, what have I done to y'all? He says, he basically said, have I been an unjust judge to you? Have I been unjust? Have I wronged any of you? Have I stolen anything from you? Have I cheated any of you? He basically said, they all said, no, you've never done that like that to us. You've been a just and honorable man your whole life. And he had been. He'd been a great judge and great prophet his whole life. He followed the Lord wholly his whole life. He anointed King Saul and King David. He prophesied to the Lord. He did what he could, and he was one of the greatest Bible heroes. He's one of the greatest heroes in the Bible. The next one here is Boaz and Ruth. Ruth 4:13. So Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife, and when he went in unto her, the Lord gave her conception, and she bare a son. Ruth 4:17. And the woman her neighbors gave it a name, saying, This is a son born to Naomi. And they called his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David. Ruth 4:22. And Obed begat Jesse, and Jesse begat David. Ruth was a Moabite who, when Naomi and her family, there was a famine in Bethlehem, Judah, and they fled to Moab to flee the famine, and they lived there, and they all died. Naomi's husbands died, her sons died. The only ones that were survived was her and her 2 daughters, which were both Moabites. Their sons had married them while they were there. And when they finally found out that the famine had ended in Bethlehem, Judah, so they went back, and they went back. Now, Naomi pled with them and just told them to go back home, go back to your people, the Moabites. One of them did. One of them went on back home, back to the Moab. But the other, Ruth, clinged to her and said, I'm going to follow you, and your people will be my people, your God will be my God. She said, I'm not going back to Moab. I don't want to go back to Moab and all that junk. I want to go with you. Well, long story short, she went in and lived there, and it seemed like a big mess, but In the end, Boaz, who was a distant relative of Naomi's husband, he was a distant relative of theirs, went in, and eventually, I don't remember exactly how, I don't understand there were some customs there that don't apply today, by the way, where she gleaned at his feet, and she ended up and ended up marrying, and they begat Obed, which was David's grandfather, and then he begat Jesse, and then basically that's where David come from. David come out of that, and also she was also not just David's descendant, she was not also one of the descendants, but she was not only in the bloodline of David, but she was also in the bloodline of Jesus Christ as well. Exodus 1-7. Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came in with Jacob: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now, right here, no, wait just a minute. All right, I'll continue in the next video.